This story begins with Jasper, a black teenager staring at the bright red F scrawled across his essay, a grade that made no sense. His chest tightened in disbelief, frustration bubbling up. Instead of letting it slide, he decided to confront the only person who could explain. His teacher. Professor Simon was striding down the hallway, papers tucked under one arm, clearly in a rush to meet the new principal. But Jasper's voice stopped him cold. "Professor, I wanted to ask why you gave me an F on my essay." Simon froze mid-step, irritation flashing across his face as if Jasper's question were an offense. Slowly he turned, his tone sharp and condescending. "I'm surprised you'd even ask." The essay was blatant plagiarism. Jasper's eyebrows shot up. "No, Professor. That was my essay. I wrote it myself," Simon scoffed, his eyes narrowing with smug disbelief. "Jasper, I've never heard you use words like that before." "Let's be honest. What words?" Jasper pressed. The professor crossed his arms, a smirk forming like he was proving a point. "You're always goofing off with your friends, tossing around slang, barely paying attention in class. Don't pretend you could write something using words like eloquent or gratuitous." "Be serious." Jasper felt heat rush to his face, but he refused to back down. "Sir, I'm telling you the truth. I wrote it." Simon stepped closer, his voice dropping into something venomous. "You know plagiarism can get you expelled, right? And besides, words like that don't exactly sound like they'd come from someone like you." Jasper's stomach dropped. "Someone like me? What's that supposed to mean?" Simon didn't hesitate. "The way your people talk, it always comes off." "What's the word?" He tilted his head, pretending to think. "Ghetto," the word hit like a slap. Jasper's jaw tightened, but he stood firm. "I've wanted to be a writer since I was a kid. My father filled our home with books. He taught me to love words." Simon wasn't moved. His sneer deepened. "Stick to writing rap. That's more your lane." Jasper's voice grew steady, defiant. "I'm serious. Writing is my passion. I've worked hard for this." Simon chuckled dryly, ready to corner him. "All right, then. If you really wrote that essay, tell me, what does gratuitous mean?" Without hesitation, Jasper replied, "It means unnecessary, unwarranted." He paused, eyes steady. "Like this whole conversation. Have you ever worked hard for something, only to be judged unworthy before being given a fair chance? Before we move forward, tell us, where are you watching from? Drop it in the comments. And if you believe every student deserves recognition for effort, not prejudice, hit like and subscribe to Story Arc, because no one should be denied their potential due to bias. For the first time, Simon faltered. Jasper's calm, confident answer unsettled him. His jaw clenched. His pride refused to yield. Tugging at his jacket, he muttered, "Anyway, I don't have time for this. I'm meeting the new principal." But Jasper didn't back off. He stepped forward, his voice steady but heavy with frustration. "Professor, this isn't right. You failed me for no reason." Down the hall, the click of heels echoed sharply. A tall black woman in a tailored black suit approached, posture straight and commanding. Her eyes locked on the pair as she drew closer. She stopped just behind Simon, quiet as a shadow. Simon, lost in his arrogance, didn't notice, but Jasper did. Simon chuckled coldly, shaking his head as though Jasper's persistence amused him. "Come on, Jasper. Don't beat yourself up. I only failed you. At least you're not behind bars. That's more than I can say for most of your peers." The words hit like a punch. Jasper's fists curled tight. His voice came out low and deliberate. "Wow, so you're failing me because of my skin color?" Simon leaned in, arrogance dripping from every word. "Here's some advice," Simon sneered. "Writing takes discipline. Maybe try something more, suited to people like you. Something easier. Something lazier. And then," a single voice sliced through the hallway. "Wow, oh," Simon froze. His chest locked tight. Slowly, stiffly, he turned. Standing behind him was a tall black woman in a flawless black suit, arms crossed like iron bars. Her expression was calm, but her eyes burned with restrained fury. She didn't need to raise her voice. The silence alone was deafening. Simon swallowed hard. Didn't see you there. Excuse me, I should really be heading to meet the principal." But the woman's next words stopped him cold. Her tone was smooth, deliberate, and devastatingly calm. "You already are speaking to the principal. Professor Simon." He blinked, confused. "I'm Principal Johnson," she continued evenly, "and I'm very glad I happened to witness this conversation myself." Relief swept over Jasper like a wave. Simon, meanwhile, turned pale as chalk. "Wait, you're the new principal?" "Yes," she said firmly, her gaze never wavering. "And now, Professor, I'd like to know, why did you assume this young man couldn't possibly be a writer?" Simon's throat worked as he searched for an answer. "Oh, well," he stammered, defensive, "I didn't mean to single him out, but it was obvious he plagiarized his essay." Her eyes narrowed. "Obvious? And what makes it so obvious?" Simon straightened, forcing confidence he didn't feel. "I know my student's writing abilities. If you read his, you'd see he couldn't have written it. It would take someone more scholarly to produce that kind of work." Her brow lifted. "Scholarly?" "Yes," Simon said quickly, puffing up with false pride. "He just doesn't look very scholarly." Principal Johnson's expression turned to stone. She leaned in slightly, her words cutting like glass. "Tell me, Professor, do I not look scholarly to you?" Simon's composure shattered. "You do," he stammered. "Then why?" she asked, her voice low and sharp. "Would you think my son isn't scholarly?" The color drained from Simon's face. His mouth fell open. "Wait, your son?" Principal Johnson's tone was ice. "That's enough." "I've heard everything I need to," Simon panicked, hands raised in a desperate plea. "Please, let me explain. I've just had a lot of lazy students who look like him and—" She cut him off instantly. "Exactly. And that's what our meeting was supposed to be about. The school has received multiple complaints about your conduct. I'm disappointed, but at least I got to see it firsthand." Simon's voice trembled. "It was just a mistake, just this one time." Her words landed like a verdict. "No, Professor." "That's it. Pack your things and leave." Silence consumed the hall. Jasper stood tall, relief flooding through him as Simon's arrogance crumbled to dust. Within days, Professor Simon was dismissed from his position. Years later, his downfall was complete. The man who once mocked a young student's dream now wandered the streets, bitter, forgotten, and alone. Meanwhile, Jasper's story had only just begun. He pursued his passion with relentless focus, his words reaching thousands. The boy once accused of plagiarism became a respected award-winning author. His name, his voice, his truth echoed far beyond the walls where he'd once been judged. Have you ever seen prejudice boomerang so hard it destroyed the very person who used it, while the one they tried to break rose higher than ever? If you believe no one should be condemned by assumptions or bias, hit that like button and subscribe to Story FBI, because prejudice can happen anywhere, and it's up to all of us to stand against it every day.